The sharp crack of the pistol echoed sharply against the otherwise calm afternoon air, cutting through the tranquility like a blade through silk. Christopher Lewis, a tall black man known for his gentle strength and dignified composure, froze in the center of the quiet suburban street, his expression twisted in disbelief and sudden agony. His left hand instinctively shot down to clutch his abdomen, where a dark stain of red rapidly bloomed across the crisp fabric of his white dress shirt. Blood began to flow steadily, dark rivulets cascading down to pool on the asphalt beneath him. In his right hand, still loosely held, was the cell phone he had just pulled from his jacket pocket. His eyes remained wide, locked onto the white police officer standing a short distance away, as if wordlessly asking why. But there would be no answer. The strength in his legs gave out, and Christopher crumpled to his knees before collapsing fully onto the ground, gasping softly as life ebbed away. Officer Michael Carver stood frozen, Glock 19 still raised, thin trails of smoke rising from the barrel. His facie twisted mask of anger and now creeping realization slowly transformed into something resembling horror as the gravity of what he had done began to sink in. There was a moment, brief and weightless, where the world held its breath. Just hours earlier, Christopher's sleek black Lexus ES 350 had glided effortlessly along the interstate toward the upscale neighborhood of Brookhaven Hills. The air conditioning inside the vehicle was cool, a pleasant contrast to the golden warmth of the late autumn sun outside. Christopher, 50 years old and proud of every hard-earned wrinkle, had just finished another grueling week as a senior intelligence analyst at the Department of Defense. After nearly 30 years of dedicated service, including multiple deployments and sensitive assignments, he had built a reputation as a man of brilliance, integrity, and unwavering commitment. But that weekend, he wasn't Christopher Lewis the analyst or patriot. He was just Chris, a loving son on his way to visit his mother, Patricia, who lived alone in a stately home within Brookhaven Hills since the passing of his father, a respected judge, several years prior. Chris had promised to stop by her favorite bakery on the way and pick up the lemon custard tart she always raved about. With classic jazz playing softly from the car stereo, he felt a rare moment of peace. Brookhaven Hills was a gated enclave of opulence and order. Lavish homes sat proudly behind wrought iron fences, lawns manicured with surgical precision. Security cameras dotted the neighborhood, and patrol cars from the local Crestwood Police Department were a regular sight. But for Christopher Lewis, this was home turf, familiar streets leading to his mother's embrace. It was Officer Michael Carver's patrol that afternoon, a man in his 40s whose career had been marked by more disciplinary warnings than commendations. Beneath his badge simmered a prejudice rarely spoken aloud but deeply ingrained. To Carver, a black man behind the wheel of a luxury sedan in Brookhaven Hills, was reason enough for suspicion. "There's one," Carver muttered to himself as the Lexus passed. "Doesn't look right." Without any traffic violation or reasonable cause, he spun his cruiser around sharply, flicked on the red and blue lights, and accelerated to intercept the vehicle. Chris, seeing the flashing lights in his rearview mirror, sighed softly, pulling to the side beneath the shade of an old oak tree. Hand steady, he rolled down the window halfway, placed both palms visibly on the steering wheel, and waited, calm and collected. Carver approached, posture stiff, hand never straying from his holstered weapon. Without introduction or cause, he barked, "License and registration." His voice was clipped, confrontational. Chris, still polite, responded, "Good afternoon, officer. May I ask what the issue is?" Carver's eyes narrowed. "You're out of place. What are you doing here?" Chris's heart clenched at the words. He'd faced ugliness abroad, but this was home. Still, military training kept his temper checked. "I'm on my way to visit my mother. She lives just down the street." Slowly, deliberately, he reached for the glove box, retrieved the requested documents, and passed them through the window. Carver snatched the papers, scanning them without care. "Virginia plates, huh? A little far from home, aren't you? Visiting your mother, sure." His smirk was toxic. "Or maybe you're here to scope out which house is easiest to rob." It was a slap across the face, the accusation sharp enough to shred through the veneer of civility. Chris met Carver's gaze, voice steady but laced with steel. "Officer, I have done nothing wrong. Your remarks are inappropriate and discriminatory. I expect to be treated with respect, and I will not stand for this abuse of authority." The words landed like punches. Carver's face flushed red, fury and hatred rising unchecked. You think you can talk to me like that? Get out of the car. Now. Chris knew the danger. He knew the tightrope black men were forced to walk in these situations. But staying inside could escalate things further. He chose to comply, slowly unbuckling, stepping out of the car with open hands, showing no threat. I'm out of the car. What now? But the act of stepping out only seemed to embolden Carver. I want you out of this neighborhood. You people don't belong here, he spat, venom dripping from every word. Chris's jaw tightened. Enough. He wasn't going to let this injustice go unchecked. Your behavior is unacceptable. I'm going to document this. I'm calling my attorney. He reached calmly into his jacket for his phone. But in Carver's eyes, twisted by bigotry, the gesture was all the excuse he needed. Weapon. Stop! He screamed, hysteria thick in his throat. And then the shot rang out. The rest unfolded in a blur of flashing lights, sirens, and chaos. Neighbors peered from behind curtains, frantic calls flooded 911. Carver's voice trembled as he radioed in the false report. Subject hostile reached for what appeared to be a weapon forced to fire. When other officers and paramedics arrived, the grim reality became clear. The supposed weapon was a phone, the only thing found near Chris's lifeless body. Sergeant Miguel Ortiz, Carver's superior, listened quietly as the story was spun. But Ortiz's eyes grew darker as evidence piled against the officer. A military ID found in Chris's wallet made Ortiz's blood run cold. Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Lewis, Department of Defense. The calls to Washington began immediately. News traveled fast. Faster than Carver could prepare excuses, faster than the small town's leadership could spin the narrative. By nightfall, the Pentagon was involved. General Thomas Reed, a towering figure with decades of service, personally called the state governor demanding accountability. Civil rights organizations, military officials, and government representatives aligned in outrage. Within days, Carver's story unraveled. Witnesses spoke out. Body cam footage revealed deliberate deactivation before the incident. Forensic evidence disproved claims of a struggle. The district attorney, Lauren Whitaker, saw the storm brewing and knew justice had to be swift and public. Charges were filed. First-degree murder, aggravated assault, civil rights violations. The nation watched as the trial began. Eleanor Lewis, Christopher's widow, stood as a pillar of dignity throughout, her voice unwavering as she demanded justice not just for her husband but for every family who had faced the same nightmare. When the guilty verdict came, it was met with gasps, tears, and applause. And when the death sentence was handed down, a rare, historic decision, the weight of justice felt, for once, equal to the crime committed. But even in victory, the sorrow remained. Christopher Lewis was gone. A patriot, a son, a husband, a father, stolen by hate. And though one man faced the consequences, the deeper wound remained open, demanding that America confront its darkest truths. The echoes of that gunshot, and the fight for justice that followed, would not soon be forgotten.